myself. Oh no, give me that cell. Oh, I gotta go like Cobain. 8 years to the grave, gone insane. My blood got propane. How you gon' go and throw my name with shame? Already cross-faded, making it to the disco. I hate it, and you know how this goes. You framed it, picture painted in my room. This that real life shit, none of Zoom, got the scene in it.
Make sure you're subscribed to JerCrispy.
What's up, yeah? What's up, y'all? It shows the most, does the most. JerCrispy? We'll go back to another video. Should Diary Wimpy can't end? Low key, yes. Same time, yeah, cause like yeah, but no at the same time. Cause I feel like Diary Wimpy King could have went all the way to college and end him off in college, or Diary Wimpy King could have end off with his son starting up the Diary Wimpy King stuff too. Like he's showing his son the stuff. I feel like it could have kept going and they kept producing it and stuff like that. Rogers ended up going to college. What the dude name was? Greg or something like that? Greg or whatever the dude name was. Greg dude he was hitting the high school route, could have graduated high school and all that stuff. Robbie bring a girlfriend home and all that stuff. You see, like, bro, stuff like that. Like we could have had all that before Robbie got like this and that, bro. Old enough, and then they just wanted to replay the cast and stuff like that.
It's been 18 years since the first ever Diary of a Wimpy Kid book came out, and nearly 21 years since the first ever diary entry on the Fun Brain website. And despite its age, there's still a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book.
You know it's crazy though? Everybody was trying to get their hands on a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book during the age of 3rd grade to 5th grade to all the way into middle school. Everybody was trying to get their hands on a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. I ain't lying to you. I know who used to collect them books. Man, I forgot one of my partners used to collect these bitches bad, bro. I remember he had the red one, blue one. That's like the color. He had all of them. But he forgot he had the light blue one. He had the orange one. And he had that brown one. And he was missing the, they got like a light green one too.
Every year, such as Party Pooper, which will release later this year in 2025. As I and many other fans have noticed, this series isn't what it used to be in that many of the aspects that made the franchise so lovable and charming in the first place are no longer there, and in their place are unfavorable things like drawn-out diary entries, rushed endings, and flanderization of certain characters, among other things. Of course, Diary of a Wimpy Kid isn't the only series in the world that's been around for a while, and isn't as good as the first entries that
The Simpsons, Family Guy, Cleveland Brown got cut off at the wrong time too. Who else got? Bob Burgers is still going around. American Dad still going around. Rick and Morty. What else is a good show that's still about to be going on and on, bro? Ben 10 for some reason Ben 10 always be going on and on. Now they about to have a regular show. We all know a regular show gonna be going on and all that stuff. Or Adventure Time. Or Gumball. Or they ain't bringing back Steven Universe or nothing like that. I don't know. I ain't watching no Lars. I'll be damn, I watch Lars as heck no.
Made the franchise so memorable and enjoyable in the first place. But it's certainly the only one I'm quite familiar with and know a lot about. So, in this video, I asked a question that fans often ask about series that seem to have outstayed their welcome. Should it end? Just for the record, this is about the book series and not so much about anything else related to the franchise like the movies. Let's step back a second and analyze why this question was brought up in the first place. I mentioned and discussed this in my second Diary of a Wimpy Kid video, but the series started
and that beat selection though, I ain't lying to you though.
Started off really good with the funny, relatable stories about a kid just trying to go through middle school, and the wacky but not too unrealistic shenanigans he had to deal with in order to keep moving on and persevere. Sooner or later, it seemed Jeff Kinney didn't know exactly where to take this series, so things took a real crazy turn, and the books turned into Greg's writings about his insane adventures that were completely out of the ordinary, like a pig that could walk on 2 legs and wear pants, having his house destroyed by a wrecking ball, and it being magically healed 2 books afterwards, and so much more. In other words, what once started off as a fairly grounded series with the protagonist with clear goals in mind, books with a decent sense of direction in its plot, and humor scattered throughout that worked with the stories and didn't distract readers from the plot, turned into completely unrealistic stories that only a select few could relate to, and drawn out entries that are essentially Greg's ramblings instead of the day-to-day entries that were short but sweet, like a diary. Because of this, fans feel like the franchise jumped the shark, although not every fan will agree with which book started the downfall into the current state of affairs. In any case, some fans feel like the books have run their course. It should end before things get even more hectic than they already are. Not to mention, the series at a point started to feel formulaic in that there were always rushed endings and overly long diary entries, so some fans already had a decent idea on how things played out even before reading the book. This was pointed out to me in the comments of my second Wimpy K video, but it seems fans also aren't keen on the characters now. I see multiple statements from people pointing out that they think the Heffleys have been flanderized and really exaggerate their worst aspects. Like how Greg went from an ordinary kid running about his fairly normal day-to-day life with a few crazy things here and there to spice things up, along with his witty commentary to satirize the stories, to a kid that just kinda goes through life and writes about whatever he finds interesting. Sometimes
I ain't lying to you, the real life movies is actually good. I don't know what they did about that last one, but the Rogers Rules, that was actually a good movie. I ain't gonna hold you. Hands down, they should have made another movie. Then they did, yeah, they did. They made the summertime one because they had to go to their community for their grandpa. So I'm like, oh, grandma. And then he was trying to date the girl from off of Jesse. It's so bad, bro. It was crazy. Yeah.
detail. Roderick went from a book dumb but street smart teenager that used said trait to his advantage, to a complete dumbass that is totally rebellious. Susan was a caring and fairly reasonable mom with a few quirks here and there that come with being a mom, to a Karen that gets completely bent out of shape whenever things don't go her way. And Frank, well, he's
okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix. Now this whole
he's still Frank. Similarly,
Ain't they did something with Frank though? They like in the real life version now sound like Frank went crazy and he like it's like the son. I don't know. I don't know what the Bubba or something, whatever the dude the name. Bubby, whatever the dude name is, bro. Was the like a freaking a detective and stuff. He was trying to find what was going on with the situation, what happened, why he separated from the family and all that stuff. And I don't know, son. It was something on TikTok. Like it was crazy, bro.
Manny is still that demon child he was ever since the first book.
Oh,
It's this type of
Manny.
flanderization that turns fans off, considering it cheapens the value of the stories and has completely stereotypical characters rather than characters with a certain archetype, but were still unique and stood out otherwise. The other thing about the characters is we don't really see classmates Greg often talked about in older books like Shirag Gupta or Patty Farrell, and fans are wondering what happened to them. I guess if these characters came up again and again, that could have made things more boring, but characters like these helped with the immersion of the books and gave faces to people outside of Greg's circle to make it seem like there's more to this world than what Greg has to say in the home life of the Heffleys. Not to mention, it made the books a bit more relatable too, considering only so many kids growing up had just one friend throughout their entire time in middle school. Speaking of characters, I know
I don't know about you, but I had plenty of friends in middle school and high school. I mean, we still talk when I feel like I wanna shoot them text, say, "Hey, bro, how you been doing?" You know, on some real stuff. I follow them on Snap. I follow them on the gram. We still fam. We still cool. We still dogs. You know. Hey, next time they throw a party, you know, I'll be there. Might vlog it. Might, you know, we might do a lot of things. It's crazy.
people have also mentioned that Greg has been in middle school for years now. It would have been nice if he were to have moved on at least to high school by now. But
High school, like I said earlier in the video, high school, college, start his own family next. And then after that, hand down all his diaries that he wrote as a kid, and his kids start writing a diary. End it off like that. That's how you get an amazing ending of a series right there.
I don't have much of an issue with this aspect of the books. Greg's a cartoon character, and like many other characters of the sort, They don't age, rather, time is an endless circle in these books, so no matter how much time has passed in the real world, everything still stays the same on Surrey Street. As I mentioned before, these arguments are made against the yearly books that come out time and time again, and not so much any type of spin-off or adaptation. I'm all for those. I mentioned this in the Wimpy Kid movies video, but I think more of the movie adaptation should be about the more recent books, or the less than stellar entries, because those stories could be revamped in a way that works and creates for an enjoyable, funny movie with a good pace. Since the movies could go on as long as they need to be, they could flesh out some of the rushed endings seen in certain books that really neutered the story progression of said entries. Disney should really stop adapting the books that already have adaptations and give some of the other entries some love. Post-edit Doge Buddha here. As I was making this video, Disney announced the next two movies, The Last Straw and The Getaway. The Last Straw was sort of already adapted, as parts of it are in the Dog Days live action movie, and it looks like another winter story, which we already had with Cabin Fever, so I'm more excited for the Getaway movie. I wonder what they'll do with that one. Hell, forget turning one of the books into a movie. If we got a new movie that had completely new stories in the same vein as the book series, I'd be all for it. Hell,
You know what? Besides this, why did we never got a Big Nate movie? But we got a hold on, wait a minute. Did we get a Big Nate? Nah. They introduced him in Nickelodeon. They gave him a whole show. They only ran about 2 seasons that month. Then they want to cut. They're like, he can't get the spotlight like SpongeBob. Cut him right now. Like what? Like I can tell you what books I was reading when I was a little kid. Big Nate. If y'all go look up, it was a Bones. It was a Bones movie. It was a Bones book. If y'all know what I'm talking about, then I'll bring it up. Diary became Captain Underpants. I was also reading, it was a fraud with a spaceship and all that stuff like that. I was reading that. When I got to 4th grade and 5th grade and stuff, and all the way to 4th to all the way to, 3rd to all the way, 4th to all the way to middle school, I was reading Percy Jackson's. And then after that, I just stopped reading books after that stuff. Like, I ain't lying to you, though. I just keep it a book. After middle school, I was like, nah, bro, I'm not trying to I ain't reading books like that, bro. I don't know, son. I ain't had spare time to read books how I used to be. Like, back then, I used to just pop up a book, read about at least about 2-3 chapters, and be good.
And he can maybe just take a break from Wimpy Kid for a year or more, then return to it once he's got enough ideas and a decent plot to bring back the charm with the early entries that made this series shine above the rest. You could also make a multi-book run where every book tells an unfolding story just to mix things up and create some change for the series. Speaking of which, the newest Wimpy Kid book set to release after this video comes out will supposedly have Greg becoming a year older, although I don't have a lot of faith that this will change anything. I remember how Wrecking Ball hyped up the Heffleys getting a new home and living in a new area, only for the events of the book to be mostly forgotten after the following entry, and how No Brainer told the story about Greg going to a new school and even getting a girlfriend, only for both of those things to be rolled back by the end of that book. So yeah, something tells me this book won't do much for its successors. Don't get me wrong, I would love if this new book actually made some changes to the formula due to Greg quote-unquote growing up, but I just don't see it happening. I know that Greg won't de-age by the time the book's over. I'm just saying, I don't see his birthday changing anything afterwards. This isn't really an argument against any of the book series. I just wanted to mention the Loaded Diaper subreddit has some good LLBs. And while not everything on there is golden, there are some decent works that have fairly interesting stories and a little bit of humor thrown in. So while these are technically fan fiction, they still fit in with the same charm as the earlier books. Thought I'd bring it up because I'm sure there's fans out there that would like to read books similar to Wimpy Kid, but weren't aware of this sub's existence. Now here's the thing.
Low-key, they're actually fire though. I like that Reddit though. Them dapping each other down. I like that first one.
Even if the franchise isn't as good as it once was and has changed a lot from its original spark and charm, and is sort of the same thing over and over again, I still look forward to every new book and enjoy reading Greg's stories. Have you ever heard someone say that they only partake in something because they want to see what'll happen next? Well, that's sort of how I feel about the Diary of Wimpy Kid books. I want to see how crazy things will get with each new entry and what kind of new things Greg discovers and wants to write about. I gotta say, as much as I disliked Hot Mess, I absolutely loved the Monopoly section of that book because it was just so ridiculous and off the wall, I just had to keep reading it. The absurd nature of the whole thing had an addictive effect on me. Not to mention, it's not like all the new books are all that
It might
bad
be the garbage
considering
scoop.
I thoroughly enjoyed the more recent Diaper Overload and The Meltdown. So, it's not like Wimpy Kid will never be good again. There's just certain aspects that don't work that well, and some
I
books
ain't
have
lying
these
to you
aspects
though,
more
and we is
prevalent.
getting older, and time might be changing. Saying we all be grown adults and kids and stuff. And our kids come in up talk about, Dad, what's about that Diary Wimpy Kid? Man, son, man, I used to read them books when I was in fourth to all the way to 8th grade. Damn, man, that was the good old times.
Them than other entries. Anyways, I have a feeling a lot of fans agree with me in regards to wanting to see more crazy stuff, considering I don't see a lot of negative discourse regarding Diary of a Wimpy Kid in places like the Loaded Diaper subreddit, and I don't think Kenny would continue to keep making books if they weren't selling well. Posted a Doge Buddha again. As I was doing research for this video, I found this article by Heidi McDonald of
No
Comics
brainer.
Beat, which stated that while the last 3 Wimpy Kid books were top sellers, their sales only continued to fall again and again, so maybe the series isn't doing so great right now.
Damn.
To be fair, a lot of those sales are probably for kids a lot younger than me, and that's another reason I think this franchise should stay. I'm sure a lot of you watching got into reading because of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, or found reading fun because of series like Wimpy Kid, and I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there right now that keep their mind going by indulging in our topic of discussion. I know the series isn't the hardest to read or get into, but still, reading is reading. With all that being said, do I want the book series to end?
If you're struggling to edit your podcast, it's not you, it's your tools. So let's check out how Riverside makes editing super simple. Your podcast transcript is here.
Well, despite my arguments against outnumbering my arguments for, I kinda don't want things to end. I know I'm a sucker for continuing to read these books despite my critiques because, well, it all boils down to the fact I always have fun reading the new entries. They're about $10, I go through them in about 2 days, and then I go on the internet and either praise them or bitch about them, but in either case, I love doing that over and over again. I never feel like I want my money back after buying one of these books, no matter how terrible I think some of them are. There's just something about their allure. Not to mention, I feel like a big part of why Disney is making more Wimpy Kid spin-offs is due to the fact Kenny keeps making books and they keep selling well, and personally, I want to see where they go in terms of adaptations. While I wasn't a fan of the first 2 animated Wimpy Kid movies, Cabin Fever was quite enjoyable and had just enough deviation from its source material to justify its existence, and I would love to see what other types of adaptations they have up their sleeves. I'm still waiting on a TV series with a 2D animation style similar to the books. That's the number one thing I would love to see out of this franchise. Those bonus animations from the DVD releases of the live-action Wimpy Kid movies are so good that they leave me wanting so much more of them. So, let's say the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books are to end. What exactly would that mean? Well, I'm sure that would be a sad day for Generation Y and Z kids, considering a lot of them, including myself, hold the series near and dear to our hearts, even if it's been a while since they read one of the books. I'm sure a lot of them would be surprised the series was still going. I can't tell you how many comments
Lucky, I'm still thinking about it. It's still crazy. I'm thinking the series still going and all that stuff. I'm just gonna keep it buck. I thought, it slowed down. It just stopped making books anymore. That's what I thought.
on the last video that mentioned the same thing, and the amount of comments the social media teams get also regarding its longevity. Personally, the news would hit me pretty hard because, as I mentioned before, I still read and enjoy these books, even if they aren't as good as they once were. They were a very special part of my childhood, so even if I do think it's time to dump the book series to make way for something new, a part of me would die. Aside from that, I think Disney and Kitty would put more time into other Wimpy Kid projects like the movies, as it seems there's no end to them anytime soon, or maybe something completely new like a TV show, a comic series, or a video game. Trust me, book series or no book series, Disney's gonna keep pushing out new adaptations of Wimpy Kid considering its popularity, and it's probably one of the easier properties to adapt. This franchise won't completely die and have nothing to show for years to come, even if Kenny puts an end to the yearly releases. The death of Dive Wimpy Kid books could also allow Kenny to start working on other projects such as a completely new series made for teens or adults in the same vein as Wimpy Kid, or perhaps he can make a Wimpy Kid spin-off series that runs for a few years. Although I'm not sure how successful that would be considering Kenny did the same thing years back and it was ended after 3 years. However, he ended it to keep focus on the Diary of Wimpy Kid books and Pop Tropica, so perhaps a new spin-off series could work. Speaking of that spin-off, Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid had potential considering the first book was okay, and the second book was fun to read and worked well with Raleigh's juvenile but creative mind. I know I mentioned this in my Awesome Friendly Kid video, but I'm not sure Kenny knew what to do with the series considering it was all over the place, with the first book being Diary of Wimpy Kid from the perspective of Raleigh, the second book being an adventure book where Greg and Raleigh continued to create a story together, and the third book being a bunch of different scary tales for some reason. Anyways, while still on spin-offs, I would love to see a Roderick-based spin-off. His snarky sense of humor.
Yeah, low key, I would like to see that too. Roger spinoff. If his side is a thing, that would low key be fire. I'll probably cop a book.
Edgy view on things would be a fresh breath of air for the series, and I'm sure he has a good amount of stories that would be funny and interesting. I have no doubt there's a lot of shenanigans that goes on with Loaded Diaper, so such stories could be funny and fascinating. Not to mention, who doesn't love Roderick? Such a spin-off series would be a delight to hardcore fans and casual fans alike, considering both have a profound love for the teenage Heffley. Speaking of which, I know I mentioned this in the second Wimpy Kid video, but if you want a book that's more focused on Roderick and his life, there's the 17th Wimpy Kid book called Diaper Overload, and while it's still written by Greg, a large portion of the book is dedicated to Roderick and his band, and personally, I think it's one of the best newer Wimpy Kid books, so I would definitely recommend it to any Wimpy Kid fan if they haven't already read it. Personally, if the books are to end, I would love to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff Kenny has made for the series, including concept art, stories that were never fully fleshed out, unused jokes, unused characters, unused art covers, because that stuff really interests me. On occasion, the social media pages for Diary of Wimpy Kid will—
Alright. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Follow our social media, pop on the screen. See y'all when I see y'all. Lay y'all to the bottom of my heart. Do y'all feel like Diary of Wimpy Kid need to go ahead and die? Or you think the series just keep going on and on and on? Low key, it might need to die. But at the same time, I don't, because I actually do want to see my future little one know who was about Diary of Wimpy Kid and Big Nate and Bones and all the other books I used to read. We're on the road to 500, and I'm out.